Bang! There we are. Hey, welcome to another episode of Gears of Trust. I'm your host, Maynard and this is my buddy Frank. I met him a little while back here, and he's actually a new friend to my list of friends. We're going to talk about a really cool subject today, and that's about Frank's journey from being a nobody to being an auto mechanic, then moving into a heavy duty mechanic, which is a really cool transition. We had a great conversation one night on night shift, and it's pretty cool. So I'm going to try to have that recap for you here today. Once again, Gears Trust. We've got 6 episodes recorded here right now, or 7. We're publishing every Friday. So this Friday, it's going to be the what today? We're on the 10th today, so it will be the 13th or the 14th, Friday the 13th, 14th. Frank's episode is going to go to air. Once again, looking for subscribers, looking for notifications, all that. So click the buttons. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple Podcasts. I'm on this, that, and the other thing. Check my Facebook profile, and I'll post it again today. I'm on just about every mechanism you can get a podcast on now. So it took a bit of a while. YouTube channel does, however, provide video recording of what we're talking about here today. So once we get that all done, yeah, thanks for tuning in. We did hit 50 downloads, which is really cool. They're all organic. In 2025, I'll start ramping up with an actual marketing program to drive this a bit farther. But once again, this podcast is yours as much as it is mine. It's technicians, it's tradesmen, and the oil sands and throughout Canada talks about their stories. What's hot, what's not, what pisses you off, what doesn't. So it's not filtered, nothing like that. That being said, I'm going to pass it over to Frank. Frank, could you tell us what you're about, who you are, and what's going on, buddy?
Yeah, name's Frank Jackelman. Live just south of Calgary here. I got the opportunity to meet you. Yeah, nice shit. Well, just working up in the oil sands there, and got along quite well. Licensed automotive mechanic. Looking at getting my heavy duty ticket. Also dabbled a little bit in natural gas compression before everything, crashed back in 2015 there. Really enjoyed that. I had an opportunity to do heavy duty slightly before that and got cold feet. Regretted it ever since. From there, I got into HVAC refrigeration, did that, became a building operator. And Yeah, here I am now with this company we're working with. Had an awesome opportunity. I couldn't say no to it, and um, like I said, I just regretted not getting that heavy duty ticket way back in the day, and yeah, just looking forward to
So
moving
let's.
along.
I'm going to start and take it right back to the beginning. So, what made you want to become an auto mechanic?
That's kind of a good question because I've always had that nature of just taking things apart and putting them back together and just kind of looking at how things work, right? So, coming out of high school, I had intentions of actually going into mechanical engineering. And what I did was I ended up getting a part-time job at a shop, and I was upgrading a course to get into university. And then I just kind of thought, you know what? I think this is my calling. I just kind of really enjoyed fixing cars, and that's kind of where it took off. And I bounced around a little bit in smaller mom and pop shops, and I
Yeah.
had an opportunity to get into the dealership world. And that was kind of the rest was history after that. There was
Good.
some hard
Is that a
times.
good history or a bad history?
Yeah, there's some good times and some bad times. I did end up leaving a couple times to go, help a couple of buddies that had some shops and this and that. And you kind of see the dark world of how everybody, everybody thinks that it's, good technicians are just out there, right? Everybody thinks that it's just there's a tree where technicians are growing, and this one's ripe, we just pluck them down, put a jersey on them, pat them on the ass, and away he goes, right? So leaving the comforts of one area to try something new, and then you kind of realize, hey, it's not really my thing, and so then you go back to that dealership world where you really don't have any responsibility in a sense. I mean, at the end of the day, you just clock out and go home. And tomorrow's another story where the smaller mom and pop shops. Unfortunately, you're there with the owners, and there's a lot of stress that gets put on your shoulders and in those environments, whereas at the dealership levels it's just like, it is what it is, not my responsibility, right? So yeah, so that was kind of the beginning of that journey for me. And do I regret anything? I don't really regret anything. I've learned a lot. Would I ever go back to fixing cars for a living? Not a chance. It's a dark world. That's kind of how how I look at it. It's dog eat dog. You think you're making friends, but realistically, you're not. So
So what when you're saying dog eat dog world, so we went from mom and pop to help the small business person out in the dealership capacity. Dog eat dog, like what exactly drives that statement? What do you mean
well,
dog eat dogs?
yeah, I think it's all related to money, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if you're a good technician, you shouldn't have to ask for help, right?
Yeah.
And so if others see that you're flourishing and you're doing well, they're not likely to help you, right? So at the end of it, what I mean by that is that um, if you uh, like if you're stuck on something and you think you could just reach out, sometimes people will help you and they will kind of guide you, but sometimes they won't actually give you the proper direction, right? So now you're just kind of chasing your tail, right? So that screws you over. You lose a car, buddy beside you pulls in another car, right?
I think I'm going to stop you before we go too long there, just for the audience tuning in. Where we're going with the dog eat dog thing is the remuneration process. So as mom and pop shops usually pay an hourly rate, they
Correct.
usually pay less than industry standards. They usually ask more of you to get more done so they can generate revenue to pay their bills.
Yep.
That's the mom and pop operation. When you go into the dealership capacity, it's a flat rate system. So how does flat rate system work? Pretty simple. Uh, the service provider quotes out a job at 10 hours. If you can do the job in 2 hours, you get paid for 10. If
Yep.
the job's quoted out at 10 hours and it takes you 40 hours, you get paid for 10. So you're going to get paid by an allocated amount, a preset amount. That's how you wind up when you take your car to the dealership. They can give you a price. They stick to that price. That's how they do it. They usually do it on the back of the employees. They're not they're not as nice to their wrenches as you think they may
No,
be.
no,
Uh,
not one bit. Yeah.
yeah, the dog eat dog thing is when you're on top of the food chain and you're making the biggest hours in the shop, then people tend not to help you.
Correct.
Uh,
Yep.
the
Yep.
reality is not every technician knows everything. There's the day you know everything is the day you're dead.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
Yep.
about it, right? It's called. I come very similar route to what Frank did. Which called where I'm an auto guy from back east, and I took a signing bonus at Ford dealership here in Fort McMurray for $5,000 to do diag check engine lights. That's what I come up here for, and I made the best money in my life up here doing doing that up to that point in time. And I only stayed 6 months because I wasn't happy, so money didn't do everything. But just to bring the studio audience up to speed here, that's what we're talking about, the dog eat dog thing. So back to the car dealership, Frank. I just want to clarify how remuneration worked in the auto world.
Yeah. So, I mean, I honestly, it was a good living. I did quite well there. But at the end of the day, there was times where, you show up and there's absolutely nothing to do. And then for myself, anyways, I was at the end there at the last dealership I was at, I was called a teaching tech. So it was basically a working shop foreman. And they expect you to stick around throughout the entire day, even if there's nothing there, because you are, a working shop foreman, right? Regardless of that, I'm not getting any money. I'm not getting paid. You're not getting anything, right? So you get to watch the people around you, and you're just doing this, and it's just like, well, what the hell? Why? What's going on here?
Yeah,
Right? And so if I'm classed as this working shop foreman and teaching tech, and I'm valuable, how is it that I'm suffering amongst others in this scenario? And so yeah, there's days, Maynard, where I mean, I would literally show up at 8 o'clock and be gone by 9, and it's like, what's the point? What is the point of this? And then you kind of start to really question your morals, because I've saw some stuff that really it upset me, and it's just like, this isn't who I am, and I can't be a part of this. Like, um, it's no it's no secret that dealerships, they screw people over, man. Like, it's at the end of the day, hey, I got a quick story. There was a guy that I used to work with. My wife had her car go in, and she called me up and said, "Hey, I'm getting quoted all this stuff," and I'm just like, "No, that's not right. Your car's pretty decent." Anyways, long story short, we go to pick it up, and buddy comes out, and it's a guy I used to work with, and he goes, "Oh, that's your car?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Hey, man, sorry, you know how it is." And I kind of looked at him and I said, "You're a fucking asshole, man. Like, what are you doing?"
Okay.
Right? If it wasn't for my wife calling me and she didn't know, she would have
Yeah.
totally have spent $5,000, $6,000, no question asked. But at the end of it, it was one of those periods where it's slow and nobody's eating, right? And so I can't say that there is times that were good and there's times that were bad. Like, it's such a mix. There's days
Yeah.
where shit, man, you're just balls to the wall, going hard, and then there's days, like I said, where just nothing to do, right?
Yeah. I found a Ford dealership here in Fort Mac. Well, actually, I'm a GM guy, so I started with GM, Jim Thompson Pontiac Buick, GMC back in Fredericton, and that's when Buick Regal Grand National was new. Fuck,
Yeah,
we're going back in time, buddy.
yeah. A
So
couple years ago.
I was doing body shop. When I slowed down the body shop, I go over to the mechanical shop. I did both sides of walls, and there, like, you'd be busy Monday to Wednesday. Wednesday about 10 o'clock, it'd drop off, and then the only thing you got after that was somebody scrambling to go somewhere for the weekend. And the management there used to get right twisted if they didn't have any work for us. We'd say, "Well, we're going home, or we're going hunting. Give me a call if you get something." And their expectation was for us to sit around the shop and wait for something to come in
Yep, totally. Yep.
on your own dime. But when it's their dime, they were pretty concerned. When it was your dime, they weren't quite as concerned. And when I come out here to Fort Mac, to Ford dealership, North Star Ford, it was like balls to the wall every day. And I came out, just broke up from a marriage, and I worked mad. And that's the only way to describe it. I worked mad for the first 2 years while I was out here. My biggest month was 351.2 hours.
Oh yeah.
So you
Yeah.
know flat rate. So based at 40 hours a week, you bill 4 weeks. That's 160 hours. We
Yep.
double that. 160 times two is 320. I billed out
Mhm.
351 in 1 month.
I think my biggest day was 21 hours in one
21
day.
hours in a day. Eh?
In one day, and I was at home by 5.
So
Right.
what I found out then, when you get to that level, everybody at North Star, we went to the tower and you had these boards with each technician's names, and they'd line up my work for the day. I'd come in the morning and I was in at 6 a.m. Jump and started on every day and never left till 8 at night. Had my own keys to the shop,
Mhm.
and I'd come in. I'd have 10 jobs in the morning. I get the first two done. I come out. All of a sudden, I only had 6 jobs. Somebody gravy picked my jobs.
Yep.
And one
Yep.
guy actually came up to me and wanted me to help him diag, an apprentice wanted me to help him diag a random misfire, or 0300. You've all seen them, right?
Yeah.
Retail.
Yeah.
Retail, that was in my whatchamacallit, was in my bin. The answer is no. Yeah, I lost it that day. I said, no, we're not doing this game anymore, wife. I'm not going to
Yep.
give away my job and show you how to do it. Not
Yep.
happening.
Totally. Yeah.
Amazing. But what I found, at the consistency between the GM dealership and Ford dealership, and I touched base quickly at the Chrysler dealership, each owner principal motivated their technicians like they motivated their salesmen. And that's just with bonuses and money, bonuses, production
Yep.
bonuses. When it actually comes to the longevity of a technician, mental health of a technician, really
They
didn't
don't
give
care.
a fuck. They don't
No,
give a fuck.
they don't care. No, like I said, there's a tree out there where they're just growing ripe, and then they just walk along and pluck a new technician out of the tree and give them a jersey. And like I said, they spank them on the ass and say, "Have at her," right?
You're a tech of
But
the week, eh? But
yeah,
so what?
oh man, Maynard, I could tell you now, because I came from the European background, and the
Yeah,
one
you're
place
a
that I
Euro
was,
guy, eh? Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So the one dealership that I was at, every 6 months it was a new management. We used to place bets. I was like, oh, here's all the black suits, here are all the fancy cars, right? And then
Yeah.
it's all, this guy's got this story, we're going to be the greatest, blah blah blah, this, blah blah blah, that, and it's just like, we're just barcodes. That's all we are.
Yeah,
You're just a barcode at the end of the day. If you're not happy, well, sorry, pumpkin, you
so
get to
be it.
go someplace else. Yeah, get
Yeah,
here. There's the door. They're not going to stop you. They don't give
yeah.
a shit. Like they just don't, right? But
It's amazing. I often somewhat perplexed at that is that so many good technicians have gone through car dealerships, and the retention factor is fucking zero. They don't
yep,
keep nobody. As soon as they get as much as they can out of you, extrapolate whatever sources you have, fucking bang. When you're no good to them, the flavor of the week, you're gone.
that's exactly
Like
it.
ice
Yeah,
cream at home, man. If they don't like the taste of you no more, bye. Or,
there's
or you leave ahead of time when you
yeah,
realize the manipulation that's involved there. But
yeah. There's no pizza party out there that could save you. Let me tell you that. They try to do certain things, and it's just like, you know what? If you give me a $10 gift card to Tim Hortons, that's nothing, man. Like there's, it's just appreciation for, uh, who the people are and what they could bring to you, right? Like I said, the automotive industry believes that there's just an abundance of well qualified technicians out there, right? And that'll lead me into a
that's
whole
gonna be a
different.
brutal, that's gonna be a brutal shock here, right? Shortly in 5 to 10 years time.
Yep.
Like I was talking
Yeah.
about the other night. Like that's the importance you grabbing that red seal and being heavy duty because you will be able to call whatever price you want for your time and your services, right?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
all us old dogs, I've been at this for 50 in the workforce for 50 years, half
Yep.
a century, and I love shovels.
You're done.
I'm fucking he's a shovel junkie.
You're
But
done. Yep. That's it. You're done.
yeah,
It's
the
time to
reality
move on.
is I'm transitioning this world. I've written 2 books now. I've got my book Onward Buttercups are going to be published. A little shameless plug here. My Onward Buttercups will become published in January after about 18, 20 months of learning how to publish a book. Man, it's been a journey in itself.
Yep.
I'm creating courses off that book, apps off of that book to run on my podcast. So my whole world's going to transition over the next 2 to 3 years. Mind you, I still love my shovels. Really,
Yep.
really enjoy the guys I work with because it's all about teams.
Yep.
But in the end of the day, you will be able to call whatever ways you want, whatever price you want for your services because of the shortage of technicians that are coming. Because
Yeah.
in my
See,
industry,
I'd like to touch on something there because you said, you like working with the guys and it's the teams, right? So that's something that is very new to me. And ever since, just making this transition to the heavy duty side, nobody's left behind. We all work together, right? Because at the end of the day, we have one goal, that's to get the piece of equipment up and running, right?
yeah,
And so that whole mentality is very hard to, um, you know, wrap your head around because you're not technically a team at the dealership because you're your own employee if you think of it, right? Like you
yeah,
are working for a dealership, but hey man, if I want to dog fuck today, I'm not making any hours. Or if I want to go nuts, I'll make tons of hours. So the whole idea of don't, hurry up and wait and work as a team is a very new concept. And I think a lot of people that will make the transition from automotive to heavy duty will have a hard time with that because now it's not just I'm a barcode. You're part of an actual group of guys that are trying to get to an end goal, right? And so I could really appreciate that because after going through all of this other stuff, um, it teaches you the value of good camaraderie with a good group of guys, right? And like, we spend time away from our families. That is a big thing. Coming home from working at a dealership, my wife, she'd be like, "Oh, another day, yeah," and just you kind of have that burden that you want to express your feelings, like, "Oh, this is what's going on," but
yeah.
they don't need to hear that stuff, right? And so
Just
when
pulls
you
up.
when
Yeah, so you harbor that internally. Yeah,
Right, yeah, and then so, now you're a part of this team, and I find that there isn't much of that frustration anymore where it's like, "Oh, man, like, what a shit day," like, "I didn't make any money, blah, 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 this." So that is a very healthy change to have that, right? And like I said, you are away from your family for a good portion of time, so building that nice team and that trust and that friendship, uh, that's the most valuable thing that you could do, right?
yeah, big difference, eh?
Big time. big
Big
time. Yeah.
difference. The only type of friendship I ever saw in the dealership capacity was you'd always seem to have that one or two guys that you'd relate well to, and then whenever you had a comeback, you'd hope to Jesus they got your comeback, so they didn't charge out the ass.
Yep.
But if somebody didn't like you or was envious of your hours, and they figured, oh, I'm going to fix something that screwed up there. Let's say you're off from the day. Back to dealership days, guys, you had a comeback, it came back, it was out of your own pocket. So you reworked it, redid it, unless it was a different problem.
Yep.
And if you had guys who didn't like it and they get your comeback, well, you're going to take a bad screwing. So that being
Totally.
said, so I'd help some guys, the guys that were good guys, and then that way I always had that little bit of a safety net. That's the closest thing I saw to a team there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was always pretty good about that because like I tried to be mindful in that situation where I would always call the apprentices over or anybody else and be like, "Hey, man, this is what I found."
Yeah,
I'm not trying to hide it. I'm not going to throw you under the bus, but it's just a learning thing for you, right?
yeah,
But management never saw it that way. They would always just be like, "Oh, you're supposed to be 110% the entire time."
yeah,
And it's just like, well, everybody has bad days. Everybody has
yeah,
good days. It's just a
yeah.
mistake. But you know, it's such a toxic environment where if you're not happy, they're not going to do anything about that. They don't care about your mental health. They don't, like at the end of it, it's production. It's a production business,
No,
right? And
they don't care. You have threats every day. Really don't care.
oh man,
You
yeah,
run around swearing and cursing.
right? Like it is literally it's production. And so if you're not producing to them, you're no good, right?
I've seen
And
guys under high enough pressure pull a parts guy over the counter.
Maynard, my last day, man. I literally, I still remember. Buddy came up to me and it's like, "Oh, was the rumor true?" And I had headphones in, and I used to put headphones in, and they weren't even plugged into anything. It's
Yeah,
just people knew if I had my headphones in, they'd leave me alone, right? And it's just like I'm
yeah,
trying to do something. And
yeah,
he's like, "Oh, I heard it's your, you quit." And I remember I took my headphones out and I just kind of did one of these, and I looked at the guy,
yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, when's your last day?" And I looked at my watch and I said, "3 hours from now, get the fuck out of my bay." Right? Like it was just like that, right? Like, and I'm looking and it's like, man, I got a hammer over here. I got screwdrivers. It's just like I could seriously go to jail right now and
Yeah,
completely ruin everything just because of a service advisor. It's just
brutal,
like
eh?
they're, oh my God. Yeah. Anyways, happily I didn't do that, but it was just, it was kind of, it would push you.
So
So,
how did you jump from the car racket? So we both did the car racket. So how did you get into natural gas? Where did
so
natural
the,
gas come in now?
the
Was that
natural
before
gas,
or after?
yeah, it's interesting because like we live on an acreage, right? And
Yep.
so our neighbor, he used to own a fairly large outfit called Collicut Industries,
Oh,
or Collicut Engineering, sorry. And this was also a time where he was, I was quite young. I think I was 17 at that time, just
so this
coming
is
out of high
before
school.
this is before you got in the cars. You were doing natural gas.
It was just like it was kind of before I got into cars, and he actually wanted me to move out to Red Deer because that's where their main facility was, and it's actually owned by Caterpillar Fitting now. So it's that whole section there.
Oh,
That was one of the yeah, that was one of their big ones, and they had a couple of them. And so I didn't want to move away. That was one of the things. So that was my initial taste into the heavier equipment world, and I kind of pushed it off. And then basically, it just came down to I just wanted to change. I wanted something new. I wanted something different. And so I reached out to him again. And at this point, they actually sold their company, and he created another one that was just south here of Okotoks in Alderside.
yeah,
And so he took me on, and I loved it. It was great. It was very interesting work. I mean, all we did was rebuild engines and big gas compressors, right? And occasionally we would build packages.
yeah.
You're out in the middle of the field, and say same thing. You have to work as a team mentality, right? So, me being the new guy, hey, do you need tools? No problem, I got your tools. But at the same time, trying to soak up as much
Information and
knowledge.
all.
Yeah, right. And so that's kind of where that came into play. And then basically what started to really happen was I was getting sent out more. And what I come to understand is the people who are actually in the field are the ones that are more knowledgeable, right? Like they're the ones that could problem solve this and that. And so, it was like, oh, well, I was supposed to be working in the shop. Now I'm kind of more out in the field. And this is, it's kind of catch 22 because you do end up learning a lot more when you're working out in the bush and you got to kind of, come up with a solution.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what ended up really happening was I was away and I didn't know when I was coming home. Girlfriend at the time, now my wife, kind of having a hard time with it, and I said, okay, well, let's just, push through this. We'll figure it out. And soon enough, 2014, 2015 happened and everything just, it all crashed. And um, I ended up going back to the dealership. I was working at Volkswagen at that point. My first dealership was BMW. So I just ended up going back to Volkswagen because it was just like, well, I need money to make my bills, right? And I absolutely despised it, but at the same time, it's just like, well, what do I do? What do I do, right? Like this is who I am. This is what I got to do. And so yeah, that was the natural gas compression side of it, and I've always kind of missed that. I've always kind of had that that knack for it. I just enjoyed those big Waukesha engines and the big
Yeah.
cat engines, and it's just like
Big
wow,
one.
like right, 25,000 pounds is a complete engine. It's just like holy shit, like these are
2,000 pound
massive.
crankshaft in a 7421,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So,
Well
but
done.
yeah, that was my short stint in natural gas compression, and that's kind of when I started to really get that kind of team environment, and you kind of felt you belonged, right? So,
So then
yeah,
you get pushed back into the car racket again through necessity. The neat thing about being an auto guy, you can work anywhere, everywhere. Okay?
yep,
You could be
yep,
illegal alien in the United States, and I could be working in an auto shop tomorrow
totally, yeah,
afternoon. As soon as I get across the border, I don't even need ID.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, and then basically, what ended up happening there was it was just borrowed time. I was
Yeah.
just looking at it as okay, well, I need to try to get out, and then a good buddy of mine,
But
his wife
did
worked.
you lose your love of fixing cars?
I did. Yeah, I
You did.
absolutely did. Yeah, it completely it took it all away from me. I mean, it got to the point where I was actually even just telling my wife to go get her oil change done someplace else. Such
You
a
didn't
simple
want to see
task.
it anymore.
Just didn't want to do it. I didn't
No.
want to do it. Like I got a toolbox full of tools. Like I got more than enough to do the jobs. And it was just like, you know what? I absolutely hate this with a passion, and thankfully I'm back now where I enjoy fixing cars and my own stuff and kind of
Yeah,
doing that.
I like working on my own stuff or tricking out my own stuff,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
go off the street. "Who, you're a mechanic, you do this?" Yeah.
No,
Man,
not a chance.
you aren't ready for the bad news I gotta tell you about your car, buddy.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally right. And then it's your
How
problem.
yeah, how many Ks on that? I suggest you buy a tent and a good insulated sleeping bag unless you get
Yeah, totally
CHA.
right. Oh, and my favorite is, oh yeah, I'll do your oil change, and then 2 weeks later, the transmission lets go. Well, you just worked on my car. I did a
Yeah,
freaking oil change. What does that have to? Where's the correlation with this,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay, great. So
right.
now I got to do this, right? And yeah, so I kind of stuck away from that stuff. But it was it
Yeah,
was just borrowed time. It was borrowed time, and then I was knocking on doors to try to get into the HVAC world because I had a buddy that was working there, and I got
yeah,
into that, and that opened up a lot of doors too. And you become a lone wolf. You're working by yourself. You got a service
yeah,
van. You
yeah.
you know you're out doing your own thing, and it was nice. It was that was a nice change, but the body gets hit pretty hard in that industry. You do get it's quite demanding. Climbing ladders all day long, roping stuff onto a roof. If you make a slip, you're falling off a roof, and that's kind of industry standard. Is you suck it up and take it on the chin and keep going, right? And that
Keep
in
moving
that
it.
sense, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Those
So,
old 50-pound bottles get pretty heavy. Look at them up, right?
oh man, pressure washers onto a roof, compressors, all sorts of
No,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
So
It's no fun.
no, not at all. No.
So
But
then my buddy Frank, he stumbled onto heavy duty. Tell me how you come across the heavy duty racket to make your second go at getting your ticket out.
yeah, so um So I got out of HVAC refrigeration. I got into building operation. Sorry, that was the last one before
Yeah,
the
yeah,
heavy duty.
building operator. What the fuck does a building operator do? You go around. Oh, the
Glorified jan
door opens, the door closes. Oh, the light goes on, the light goes off.
glorified janitor. Glorified
Oh,
janitor.
oh,
Yeah.
is that what a building operator
Yeah.
is?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah. But anyway,
I
I
don't know
was
what a building operator is. I can't
yeah.
understand.
So a building operator is like it's lots of steam work. You're working with electricity. Like it's different in a sense where you're running a facility. Let's put it that way. So, you have chillers that are providing cooling. You have boilers that are providing heating and stuff like that. So a building operator, you're looking at gauges, you're making sure all the equipment is running. But it's the same thing. If a toilet's plugged, well, guess what? Here's a plunger, go and plunge the toilet. If you
Yeah,
need to change a light bulb, you change a light bulb, you fix a door handle, this and that. So it's kind of a broad spectrum of everything in a sense, right? And
yeah.
so I ended up becoming a lead operator for one of the oil companies here, and it taught me a lot. But same thing, 24 hours a day on call. I had all the alarms going to my phone, so my phone can never be turned off. And one day, my daughter basically said, "Dad, put the phone down." I was reading a book to her. She's 5 years old. Dad, put your phone down, right? And I kind of stopped. And at that point, I reevaluated my life. And I'm like, if my daughter notices this, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah,
It
something
is
fucked
very
up.
fucked up, very fucked up. And so basically, disgruntled employee again, come home, get on Indeed, fuck it. This is what I wanted to do many years ago. I'm going to do it. And, type in your parameters on Indeed, and sure enough, here comes this opportunity. And I
Yeah.
remember I got my wife to come over and read it because I was just like, something's fishy here, and this doesn't sound right. And
Sounds
she
like a
read it,
network marketing scam or something. I'm like,
right? Yeah, I'm like, they're gonna pay me to go to school. Like, what is this about? Like, this is not normal for North America. Like North America, they're like, yeah, see you later, man. Good luck, find a new
yeah,
job. Don't come back, right? When you go to school, it's just like this is different. And then, she read it twice because I didn't believe it. And so I just decided to apply. And I actually applied for two other companies. One was Tech Resources as a driver, and I
as an
come to learn,
operator.
yeah, an
Okay.
actual like a truck, a haul
All truck.
truck operator.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. So they obviously, you know how that goes. They they just need people, right? And I
Yeah,
didn't want to be licking windows for the rest of my life. So thankfully,
yeah. That'd be really pressing your intellectual capabilities in that operation. That's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So I was kind of one of those things that I was interested in that because it was one of the things that I put it in the search. And then
yeah.
there was another company that did fire suppression and air conditioning. And so
Fireball or air con?
Tomahawk
Tomahawk.
Industries.
Yeah. There you go.
Honestly, one of the nicest guys I have ever spoken to on the phone. Can't say anything, bad about that whole industry because it was just like, wow. But the only downside for me was the traveling and just not a consistent rotation, right? And then lo and behold, Maynard called,
Yeah.
and I was just like, okay. And I did my interviews, this and that, and I spoke to the wife. We had a lot of conversations about it, just because of the, hey, I'm gone for 2 weeks at a time, right?
At the time. Yeah.
Are you okay with this? Can we handle this as a family, this and that? And so she knew that it was very important to me to try to get back into this industry, because what I ended up happening was, before I went to Volkswagen, I got a job with Wajax, and that's where I got my cold feet, and I don't know, I didn't follow suit, right? So anyways, she knew that this was something that was near and dear to me, that I just wanted to complete this, and it was kind of long overdue. And you get to know these people, and it's just like, you know my name. Okay, you're asking me how my kids are doing. You're asking me how my weekend was. Like, you
Yeah.
actually have a genuine interest in,
And what I'm about. Yeah.
right? And I'm like, this isn't North America. Like, you guys are different. Like, this is strange. So anyways, long story short, I got accepted to, do the trade up program here in North America and be one of the first guys to go through it. And yeah, of
Yeah.
course, there's baby steps like with everything, it's learning curves. But what opportunity do you get to get into the mine world um, like this? You don't. Like it's such a boys' club. You don't, right? Everybody needs we want the qualified journeyman technicians, blah, blah, blah. Well, you have to give guys opportunities. And it's like, okay, well, I've been around the block. It's not like I'm not new to the trades. I understand the difference between a left-handed screwdriver and a right-handed screwdriver,
Yeah.
right? Like, like I as a joke, right?
Yeah, just so people understand, you come into the trade up system as a licensed journeyman anyway. You're a licensed auto service tech,
Yep.
and
Yep.
the similarities between the two trades are they're an almost identical trade because the heavy trade now is getting caught up to the auto industry.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
There's lots of tech into it. There's lots of tech. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
the only thing that's different is more hydraulics, I'd say, in the heavy world, and that's
Yeah.
about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, like the auto guys that come to the heavy world, I see, are far superior diagnostically when it comes to hydraulic diag or electrical, especially with electrical systems or DPF systems that we've been playing with since 2000.
Yeah.
And that a lot of that's just in 2020 started to hit the mining industry with the after treatment on fuel systems and stuff.
Yeah.
That yeah, there's some you as an auto guy going into a heavy world is you will be very very
We
kind
do
of
have an
force
advantage.
with, right? I'm just looking for the right wording here, but you won't be. Yeah, you'd almost be superior in some aspects, right? Because you've been playing with data buses and downloads and crap for fucking a decade plus,
Oh yeah.
right? Um,
Yeah.
where guys in the heavy world, they'll come to a truck like in the mining world, they'll come into a brand new haul truck. So these new haul trucks in Fort Hills and stuff right now, they're getting launched in 2023, 24. They will be around for 20 to 30 years. So the guys that are learning about them now, 30 years from now, they're still going to be rebuilding the same trucks. There's been no new technology induced.
Yeah.
In the auto world, you get 50 brand new models every year from about 20 manufacturers for crying out loud.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
And it's
you're
the
always,
smallest changes.
yeah, you're always keeping up with technology in the auto world. So in the heavy world, once you learn your craft, you can specialize on that one unit almost like just a haul truck or a dozer or a shovel and be very proficient in that. But when it comes to new technology, the adaptation isn't as rapid. The auto guy knows it's coming at him all the time and
Yeah.
reading all the time just to keep up with that crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The evolution of cars doesn't stop. And it'd be funny too, because at the beginning of the year, you'd be working on one model, and 3/4 through the year, it's the same model, but it's completely different,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it's just like, what the hell happened here, right? And so you have to see, that's one thing I do like about the automotive world is that it's always challenging you. And I think that's what kind of,
Technically, it's
yeah. And that was kind of my thing. Like my wife's like, oh, you're bored again. And she knows like, oh, you're gonna look for a new job, right? And it's I think it's healthy because you're always learning. Now, if you could try to keep that mindset and avoid all the politics, sure, automotive industry, great. But unfortunately, you can't avoid the politics and all the other stuff that comes with it, right? So,
right.
whereas the heavy world, it's like I said, it's different. It's just you work as a group, right, to get something done, and it's like this is a nice, refreshing kind of atmosphere because yeah, you're getting paid handsomely to do what you're doing, no question about it, right? And so is it dangerous? Of course it's dangerous. Like there's days where you're sitting there looking at something and it's like, okay, yeah, that'll blow your head right off if it landed on you, right? Like,
Yeah.
but you rely on your teammates to help help you, navigate all that stuff. And even like me just being green into this entire world, I'm not a dummy. I'm not going to put myself in the line of fire or anything like that. But I still do appreciate it if somebody says, "Hey, Frank, watch out." And likewise, if I say, "Hey, Maynard, watch your head," or something, right? Like,
Yeah.
like we're always looking out for each other. It's not a one man show, right? So, and I think a lot of the heavy duty world is like that, where it's not a one man show, and unfortunately, um, it took me a long time to get back into it, but here I am. So
So how's the journey been so far? So you did made to run these guys through SATE, did a whole bunch of training. You get all your theory and stuff applied, and so you come out of SATE, and then what happened from there? You got to meet
uh,
me. you
yeah,
came
yeah,
you
yeah,
came
yeah.
right to work.
Unfortunately, I got to meet you. Yeah, yeah. No, it was like
All downhill from
so.
there. Jeez.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I drink because of you. Yeah. No. Um, no, so yeah, there was the SATE course there, and then shortly after that, it was basically here's your placement. Here's your teams. If you
Yeah,
need anything, we're here for you. And it's literally been probably one of the best experiences that I've ever had working for a company. And I honestly, I've told that to a couple of the management because it's just like, you guys actually care about your employees.
yeah, I do. Yeah,
You actually care, like you actually have
you actually
a
give a fuck.
genuine,
You really do.
right? Like
Yeah.
it's blows my mind. Like, oh, we're having this get together, we're doing this, we're doing that, and it's like you
There's
know
another
everything.
three years happening this winter. Did you hear about that?
I did, yeah, yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
sure where
Did
where
you
it
do the
was,
one
but
this summer?
I did, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was a riot. That was an
So,
absolute blast.
so folks tuning in to the podcast that know me and don't know where we work. We work at a company called Maynard Mining, and they're out of Australia, and we supply mechanics throughout Canada. We're in 9 provinces now, and gold mines and oil mines and whatever we're doing. We supply mechanics internationally. We're in 48 states, Papua New Guinea, we're in Africa, we're in not sure Soviet Union, Australia,
Mhm.
all the good stuff. And these guys are out of Oz. And we do this thing, a team building exercise. I thought once a year, but it's turned out to twice a year, called Three Gears, and that's in the logo of the company. It's the Three Gears. Uh, so this summer, they flew me down to Calgary, threw me up in Hyatt. Then we bust into the mountains on day one, did a hike up a mountain, got set up in our camp. Day two, I went to a helicopter pad, got flown on top of a mountain, rappelled down 12 waterfalls.
Yeah,
Got
60
back
60 meter waterfall.
yeah, yeah, pretty cool. That was a good time. And then from there, we went back to the camp, drank it up, told some stories, bunch of lies. The next day, we drove back into Calgary and all went home, got flown home. Uh, Zero expense to employees, food, liquor, nothing. There's no bars hold, no holes barred. And then we were just at the Christmas party the other day, and management was telling me that they got something planned for us. They're working to get something together in February for us. So they're not sure if it's going to be skiing or snowmobiling or something, but it's going to be fun, he said.
Yep, perfect.
Whatever it
What?
is. When I get back from 3 years, Sean calls me. He says, "Hey, Maynard." He says, "You want to come back down?" He says, "We're gonna have if I can bring you and the wife down to fucking Calgary Stampede for 3 days, and if I can, we'll put you up in the hotel again, and blah 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 blah." Well, gee, I got to go to work, guys. Sorry.
Yeah,
Right?
right.
So then that set, I did a rotation of 14. I got off and then said, "Hey, we're gonna have a laser tag event in Calgary next week. You want to come down for that?" I'm like it's unbelievable. And here we are moving in February into the winter thing, and we're at the Christmas party. And Debbie says, "Just remember when it gets in the ski, and you're not young anymore." You met Debbie the other night. It kind of makes sense to you, right?
Yeah,
She's my
yeah.
governor, right? So, but
But
and when I was
like that's what I was trying to get to is that like there are companies out there that actually care about you and your well-being and this and that. And it's
they're
like
few and far between, man. But I
very,
firmly believe that mindset in corporate worlds need to change.
yeah, big time. And so I
That
don't
goes
know,
back
to
to
me,
my team building book too. Like I'm stressing about that is how to build a team and all the fucking things I've done in 50 years in the workforce, man. I've never seen one company focus on building and
yep.
retaining a team. Never
Yeah,
seen it.
and I remember the one conversation I had there with the one fellow. He said, "Well, if we take care of our guys take care of us." And that hit home to me. I was just like, "Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Like this is it for me, man. Like they've been nothing but good to my family. They've been nothing but good to me. Yeah, it's a journey. Like what we're going through is it's going to be it's new to North America, and I'm going to see it right through because at the end of it, like this is not normal. Like this is not a normal atmosphere where, I came from, oh, you're not happy? Too bad. Like, here's a box of donuts. Yeah, sorry, like you get half an eaten donut or the service advisors get all the credit for all the work. And it's just like, oh, cool, you have zero training, right? And so now it's just like this whole world of this heavy duty stuff. And like they actually care about you, and they want to see you succeed, and they want to see you live a happy and healthy life. And it's just like, man, why did I wait so long to get into this kind of industry?
Yeah.
One, I could have been way further ahead in my financial life and everything else, but it's just like it's a healthy change. It was a healthy change, and it was a good change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those blessings in disguise. Eh? So your first trip into the shovel world. So now you've left the gas world, you left the auto world, you're kind of fully immersed into the heavy world now. And you went right to the heart of the beast, into the oil sands.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
how is that?
Wow. One word, wow. Like, the first day actually rocking up to that and seeing, this thing that is it's just a giant dinosaur. I mean, but the top of the point shiv is 21 meters high. A bucket scoops 100 tons of material. And it's just like you surround yourself into this world, and it's just, okay, well, this is what makes the world go around. People don't understand it. Like, a lot of these people, they don't want to believe that that's what makes the world turn, and it does. Mining in general keeps everything working. And so I think getting into it, it was a little awkward at the beginning of it. You're the new guy, right? Oh yeah, sure. Right. And being the new guy, you kind of have to not prove yourself, but say, hey, I'm capable of handling my own, and I'm going to watch out for you guys.
Yeah.
Right. So, you kind of develop that kind of relationship, and then, you know, sooner than later, everybody starts to open up to you. Right. And now, you're part of the team. Right. And so, just being involved in that, and seeing how everybody helps each other and just tries to get through the day and move on and to the next day kind of deal. Wow, like, really, like, this is out there, like, what was I doing wrong? And then so then you start to really, like, go back into time, and you start to think like, okay, I was an idiot for not trying to get into this kind of industry sooner than later, because you're not just fighting yourself in the dealership. You're fighting so many other people, and now you're not fighting anybody. Now it's like, okay, we're going to battle together, guys. Like, let's gear
Yeah.
up and let's get her done, right?
Yeah. Well, those
So
things are so big you can't do anything by yourself anyway.
not one bit. Yeah, like, you got to always have a buddy system, right? Because I mean, something goes wrong. Right? I joke, it's not a cut, it's an amputation or death, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
kind of how it is, right?
Yeah.
It's not a small boo boo,
Yeah.
but um, just wow. Like, I just, it was such a mind opening experience that um, like I said, I just regret I didn't get into the heavy duty side earlier on to get that ticket, and then to head into the mines. And the person that was working at Wajax that got me that job,
Yeah.
he works in Ontario, and he was in the mines. And finally he messaged me. He said, "Oh, it's about damn time." Is what the message, when I just I just made it public.
Yeah.
I made a post, oh, doing
Yeah.
heavy duty, and I open up my Instagram, and there's a message from him saying it's about damn time. And I'm like, okay, here we go. So now I'm both feet in, right? So, but yeah, it was just a mind opening experience, to be honest. Like, it was just um you walk into this room full of techs, and all sorts of different people, and
Yeah.
it's just like, wow, they all work together to get through the day and get everything going. I don't have to compete with that guy sitting at the end of the table, or I don't have to compete with that person across the room to make a paycheck. And
Oh,
so you
yeah.
come
You know,
home.
the guy beside you is not going to be stealing your paycheck either,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Like, I come home and I see my first paycheck, and I remember looking at my wife, and I'm like, yeah, I made the fucking right choice,
You're
right?
right.
And so,
You just wait.
it,
Good times are coming here, my friend.
yeah,
Good
yeah,
times.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, just wow. Like, that's it. Like I said, I'm super thankful and grateful that I did what I did in the past to get me to this point. And I've spoken to a lot of people about the car world, and they know my thoughts behind it. I can't knock it completely because everybody's got to make a paycheck, right? And so
Yeah.
I just know personally for myself, I would never go back. If I went back, it's because I'm desperate for work and I just need
Yeah.
something, to create.
It's a fallback career, right?
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fallback.
110%. Yeah,
It's
totally.
something I use all the time, even when I trickle in bass boat or trickle in truck or whatever. It's something you never lose. And I use a lot of those skills I acquired then on big equipment as well too, right?
Yeah. It's problem solving.
Electrical systems and data buses or data bus. I don't care what you put it on, an Airbus
Yeah.
or a shuttle or what. I don't care. It's
Yeah,
what
and
it
I
is.
like I look at it as it's a problem solving trade, right? So you could take that and put it into everyday life. So realistically, like, is it a bad industry to get into? No, it's not. Are you going to have high expectations that you're going to come out a millionaire? Probably not. It's just one of those things that, um, like I said, I don't regret it. It taught me a lot about who I am, what I can do, what I have to offer, and what I could bring to the table in a team environment, right? And so,
Yeah.
like I said, the whole heavy duty side, wow, like it's just like you're not by yourself, right? So
Yeah, you came to the right place for being launched into a team environment after coming off of your training at state and stuff like that. But I don't think it was the right placement um, for technical experience. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah,
You've seen shovels here for a couple of weeks or a couple of sets. I think what 6 or 8
yeah,
months or
yeah,
two, and so there's nothing technically challenged about this. It's more about teamwork.
yeah,
Uh, Shovels is all teamwork. And your next, are you going underground? I guess next.
yeah. I'm actually taking off tonight
Yeah.
at seven
So
o'clock. There, going to Ontario. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
Red Lake.
So you're off to Ontario. So you're with the same company. We
Yep,
just had a Christmas party in Calgary. Now you're a network of a whole fistful, like 300 mechanics across Canada here now that are all like extended family. So when you go to Ontario to go underground, you're going to be well received there as you
yep.
were here, which
Yeah,
is
and
really
I
cool.
and I actually I just came back from Chetwynd, BC,
Yeah.
last week before the Christmas party. So it's like, all right, I've been northern Alberta, northern BC, and now I'm headed to northern Ontario, right? So that's the other, cool part is the traveling aspect of it. You get to see all these different industries, like,
I'll
mining
tell
is
you
mining.
the big bonus there, Frankie, you don't realize now, but I've had hours or years of management in the oil sands too. Is what's going to happen to you within 5 to 6 years. Is your resume is going to get beefed up like nothing. You'll be one of the few guys in the planet that can say, "Well, I've done this and I've done that, been here, done this, done that, done this, done this." It's all been one company. So you take all these different experiences all within the one company. That's phenomenal on a resume because it shows that you're not a job jumper, but it
Yeah,
shows you're diverse to different type of applications and how quick you can learn. So you're as painful as was seeing you leave. Like I really enjoyed you on the team at Suncor,
yep, yep,
baseline there, but man, it wasn't the right place for you. It was the right place for you to be with me because I could show you whatever I knew. But
yeah,
the thing is, for you to take that theory you just got on hydraulics and get that in the practical application over the next 12 months, 18 months, perfect. And then when you come back, you'll be able to say to the guys in Calgary, hey, I want to go here now. I want to go there now. I want to go here now. You won't be
yeah,
at the discretion. Okay, we're going to make. Can you go here? Can you go there? Will you go there? Right. So you will
yeah,
have so many choices open to you. You'll be sick. You'll be
yeah. And
absolutely
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that because I don't know, just personally who I am. Like I said, I'm always learning. I'm always wanting something, kind of new and exciting to try. So for me, yeah, like I enjoyed my time up there, but you are right. It's kind of it's an interesting place to be at because everything is so big and it was very repetitive work.
yep.
It's work. It's like I didn't complain. I was just kind of just do your thing, right? Like
Yep.
I'm borrowed time, right? At some point, something else will come up and I'll get moved or whatever. And
Yep.
so, like I said, I was very thankful even just to be able to get the opportunity, right? To go through the interviews and to be able to say, hey, I'm an employee for this company now.
Yep.
But No, I fully agree. Like in the state that I'm in, I've been around, I get it, but this is a whole new world. And
Yeah,
you have to kind of take it day by day, and you have to analyze it, day by day, and just sit back. Sometimes you just got to sit back, right? And so I think that's the beauty of having another ticket is you understand when somebody's frustrated. You see a tech and they're getting pissed off,
yeah,
just you stay quiet, walk away, don't intervene. Unless somebody's going to get hurt, it's a different story. But it's just like, okay, so that's also another challenge that I think a lot of people will have is not to just jump right in and get in there with the other guy and say, I got this, right?
yeah,
Because we're still learning. I'm still learning, man. Like I don't, like, okay, I get it. Hydraulics is hydraulics. I could see it. You could actually physically watch the lines go across. It's like, okay,
yeah,
well, it came from that pump. It's going into
yeah,
this valve. That valve's controlling it. So you could
yeah,
actually physically see it, but the concept is still very new,
yeah,
And so just, one tidbit of advice that if I can ever give to anybody is sit back sometimes, shut your mouth, watch, and just absorb it, man. Because that's I'll be honest. I kind of was a little upset that I got to leave because even the 2 weeks that you and I worked together, I learned quite a bit from you. And it's just like, okay, there's guys out there that have that knowledge, and so that's my biggest takeaway from everything is that if you decide that you want to jump from one trade to another trade, don't be a know-it-all. Shut your
yeah,
mouth, sit back. You could be the best damn technician in an automotive shop,
yeah,
making however much money, but you got to remember there's always somebody out there that's better than you. And so jumping ship from one industry to the other industry, you sit back and you aren't a journeyman now. You are
yeah.
now an
Weird, eh?
apprentice, right?
Yeah,
And it's like, okay, like turn that switch off. Like, buddy, you could see stuff and you could offer your opinion, but it's just an opinion and it might not be the right one. It might be the right one, but that's the biggest takeaway. Keep your mouth shut, sit back, watch, absorb as much as you possibly can, and you'll get there. You'll get there at some point, right?
yeah. The
So,
pressure's not on you to come up with a successful solution anyway. Especially coming into in the new world, you're going to find new Maynards in the underground stuff like that. You're going to have guys that are very very specialized in the equipment underground. But if you were to put them above ground and put them on trucks and drills and shovels and stuff, they will have to, even though they might be ticketed, are going to have to go through the same learning process that
yep,
you do. Does that
yep,
make sense?
big time. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
that's the biggest one for me. I mean, it's just enjoy the ride. Enjoy enjoy like I think if you have regrets in your life for the decisions you made, that's kind of I don't believe that you should hold that against yourself because everybody makes their own choices. Everybody makes bad decisions. We go through things like I said, I don't regret doing what I've done to get me to this point in my life.
Yeah.
I've made good friends. I've made good buddies. We still stay in contact. Um, but I've also
The
learned.
reality is like you're just at a different site for a couple of shifts, man, because with no time at all, we're at another 3 years event, a social
Yep,
event.
yep,
Mater does that right, man. They really do that right.
yep.
Like
And then you catch
every
up with
time,
buddies. You catch up with everybody, and it's like you didn't miss a beat. That's
yeah,
the thing. Like it's such a I don't know how to describe it. Like it's a weird feeling. Like even at the Christmas party, I ran into a couple of guys I haven't seen since the three, and it's just like wow,
yeah,
like we just kicked it right off. My wife's like, oh, that guy knows he thinks he knows you quite well. I'm like, well, yeah, like it's different, right? Yeah, yeah.
but it's
So,
good. It's good to be welcomed with warmth, right? I mean, the friendships you're going to make in Mater here, it's going to last a lifetime. Man. But
yeah,
this might. It, there's so many doors open to you right now. Like you can, if you get tired of Canada, you can go to the States. You just call Global Pathways, and man, they process all the paperwork, and you're going to be working wherever you want, basically.
yeah,
Neat thing.
yeah,
So just because you have one client that might not be all horny about you,
yeah,
doesn't really mean an awful lot because you do have a lot of expertise that you bring to the table already. You just need a certification for Canada.
yeah,
But when you go
yeah,
to Australia, that certification is not going to be the same. Or if you go to Texas or if you're in the Wyoming coal belt, um, what credibility you bring to the table in those environments is you to work for Mater.
Yeah. Yeah.
ironically, right? So when you go to the clients in those countries, in those states, uh, Maynard has a reputation built ahead of us,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
being said, they select good people, and I said that when I got hired. I went to shovel crew because that's my specialty is shovels, and I talked to Sean like, I said, man, how did you guys hire so many fucking good technicians? Like, there's
Yeah.
so many guys with so much knowledge, such good work ethic, right? And they might not be product specific, and that's what shovels is. It's product specific, and it's but the guys have good, solid hydraulic knowledge, good solid electrical knowledge, and good work ethic
Yeah. Yeah.
consistently throughout this entire business unit. So when I was at Fort Hills this summer, the guys up there, a higher end of the tier two, like high end, high production guys, highly motivated guys. And you go to the functions, like the 3 years functions. Everybody's talking wrench and stuff and rappelling down the mountainside, drinking
You're
beer.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
man, you're dealing with A players, and it's like I don't know how many shops I've seen over the year. You have your A player in the shop and your B player, and you have you need the
And
guys. You need a guy that changes tires, and you need a guy that figures check engine lights. The guy that does interface issues. You need a
yeah,
guy that does suspension issues, and a lot of
you know,
specialties.
if I could add to that, what you just said, that comment, the A players and the B players, I cannot tell you how many times I have seen people who shouldn't even be fixing cars
Yeah,
get spoon fed. Get spoon fed, man. Like I remember, this is like Vietnam flashbacks for me. Like I've got stories I could go for hours. But I vividly remember one day where an assistant service manager, he got so pissed off at me that I told him I'm going home because I was seventh on the list and there's three cars coming in the afternoon. What the
yeah,
fuck am I going to do here?
yeah.
So I said,
Watch
I'm
those
going
guys.
home,
Yeah,
right? And I vividly remember him opening up his desk, grabbing two inspection services, which were the high paying, easy jobs,
yeah,
and walking over to two guys and giving him those jobs. And you just kind of sit there and you go, fuck my
yeah,
life, man. Like what? Okay, great. So, and lo and behold, the one guy screws the car up and it comes back to you the following day to fix. And it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
why
yeah.
are these guys getting spoon fed? Like,
They get
so
spoon fed,
anyways.
fuck it up, make work for you, and then if
Yeah.
it's an internal job, they want you to do it for straight time.
Right. And now being a part of a team and being a part of a group of people who have the same mindset of just let's work together to get it done. At the end of the day, you're getting a paycheck, you're getting a really nice paycheck, and it's just like, wow. Like I said at the beginning when you asked me that question when I got there, my answer is still wow. Like it's just it's it's been a refreshing change to say the least. Yeah.
Say, well, things are going to get better for you. Yeah, hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Yeah.
believe, eh? But no,
Well, I'm
things are going.
looking forward to it.
There's a lot more opportunity coming for you and lot
Yeah,
bigger paychecks as well, man. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
you got the right place at the right time. That's for sure.
yeah. No, I'm
Because
looking forward to it. I'm looking forward
yeah,
to it.
you're going to get clients that have all kinds of different positions. You're going to get good clients. You're going to get shit clients. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Oh
At the
yeah.
end of
Yeah.
end of the day, we don't get ourselves involved in the politics of it. We leave them do their things. If they got to hate on for somebody, that's their business. If they're good to people, well, that makes it even nicer. But the thing is,
Yeah.
we work internally and we're there for the machines. And when our job is done there, we move on to the next. We're kind of like a traveling
That's
road
it.
trip in that
Yeah.
regard, right? So as long as we're of service to them, that's what we need. But you'll see as a contractor, every industry cyclomatic. So coal industry will cycle, oil will cycle, whatever. And the requirement for contractors will do that. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Yeah,
Yep.
we'll need 20 mechanics this week, and we need 5 next week. Well, we're not permanent mechanics at whatever site.
Correct. Yeah.
Guns for hire. But the nice thing about that is because of the broad knowledge base that the Maynard guys have, we're like a one size fits all type of thing. Like we can wind up. You could be in Sudbury in an underground next week after nickel, and fucking 6 months time, you could be in Texas doing natural gas.
Yeah.
Actually, young Scottish Stafford, he's a Maynard guy. He's started out at highway. He went to Oz first and did gold underground. Came back here, wound up at shovels with me. He was in shovels for 6 months. Says, I don't like this. I'm going to go natural gas. So he went to global pathways. He jumped down to Texas with Maynard, doing natural gas down there. Texas being his home base now. He's got Maynard set up the green card and whole drill. And he spent last summer in Alaska doing natural gas, even though his home base was in Texas.
That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like that to me is this, and that's where I think that's my favorite part of this is
Yeah, but
that
this guy's like only 23 years of age, man.
that's awesome.
Like you know what his resume is going to look like when he's fucking 30? He's
And
going to look like the Pope.
this is what I was trying to tell you. This is what I was trying to tell you before is like, why did I wait so long to do this? Is kind of my, like that's my issue that I fight with myself over it all. But and that's the beauty of what we do though, Maynard, is that, like you said, like, I mean, I was Northern Alberta last week, literally last week and a half ago, I was in Northern BC, and now I'm flying to Northern Ontario tonight, right? So I think it's just refreshing because you're always learning something, right? You're always kind of, it's always
What
going to
did you
be.
run up Chetwood? What were you working on up there?
So we did a hydraulic diagnosis on a wheel loader. It was cold. Yeah, that was quite interesting. And then we took a strut out of a 793F haul truck because some of the hardware came out. So they wanted us to remove the strut, measure everything, make sure there was no
Deformities.
variances. Yeah, like nothing like that, right? So, and this is all in the field, man. Like there's no shop, right? So, you're coming up with creative ways, like, oh, we usually come along to pull this over, I'll do that. And the other thing that I, in the automotive industry, this would have drove me wild. But in this industry, it's like, okay, well, there was other people working on this before.
Yeah.
And so they know that at the end of it, the way they set it up when they leave, it's very easy for us to come in and finish the job, right? And then we also did a ball stud on a haul truck as well too.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
yeah, so it was like, wow, like in a span of 7 days, I went from hydraulic diagnosis on a wheel loader to actually we did the ball stud first,
Yeah.
and then we did the strut. And it's like, and then just the appreciation of of management, like, hey, thank you guys for your effort and helping us out.
Yeah.
Never got that in automotives. Never got a, hey man, thank you for your hard work today. Like, okay, it's like at the end of it when the bell rang, everybody just, we all dispersed. Nobody talked to anybody, changed and left. And here it's just like, oh, we're excited to have you back tomorrow.
Yeah. I hardly wait to see what you do next, man. It's gonna be pretty cool.
So I'll keep you in the loop. I'll keep you in the loop. So yeah, but yeah, that's it.
Frank, I'm going to shut us down for today here. We're going to chat more after the show, that's for sure. But I try to keep recordings in around an hour or so for folks. That being said, so if any of our listeners have any topics they'd like to address and have a story to tell us on the show, we're more happy to listen to it. If you want to hear from Frank again, send me a comment, man. We'll get Frank back on. I'm sure he's going to have more stories to tell us once he gets back from Northern Ontario. That's really, really cool. Once again, Gears of Trust. You can find me on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on YouTube. Just about everywhere under the sun, you can find us now. So it's been really cool, really fun having you on board, Frank. Like it's, I was fucking sad as that. I didn't like seeing you go on shovels because you're a team guy. Like some guys fit in the teams. Pat yourself on the back, man. You do a good job with that.
I appreciate the good word there, Maynard. And yeah, thank you very much for having me. Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Like that. It's really good. A strong technician in 5 years, the world will be your oyster. You will be able to call the wage you want. Man. You have that technical know-how, ability, the personality to make it all come together, man. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah, but I'm glad you're still with Maynard.
Oh yeah, I don't go. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, there's just so many opportunities here for you, man. There's just so many opportunities, and they're well deserved as well too. But
perfect.
That being said, I'm going to let you go. Once again, thanks for watching Gears of Trust. I'm your host, Maynard Bear. It's my buddy Frank, and we'll be talking to you guys later. We're going to let you go. Shut down the recording now.
See you
Frank,
later.
Thanks again.
Thank you.